everybody. Thank you for tuning into this week's episode of Weekly Words. Last episode, we talked about the question, it's a new year. Does that mean that I have to change too? And my answer was, no, you don't necessarily have to change, but depending on where you are and where you want to go, it might be time for you to grow. So if you're watching today, I'm going to take that to mean that you are ready to grow. So let's grow. See, I believe that one of the best ways to be intentional about our growth is to set clear and specific goals based on the vision that God has given us. Now, you might be sitting there watching and thinking, Rob, what vision are you talking about? I don't know of a vision that God gave me. That's fine, right? Take a minute, pause the video, and think and pray and listen to what God's saying. Reflect on your life, where you've been, where you are, and where you want to go. Where do you want to be in a month, in 6 months, in a year, in 5 years? It is completely fine if you don't have all of the answers, but having a general idea is important for setting the direction in which you are going and very helpful in setting real, practical, tangible goals for you to reach, right? Now, after you think through that, you've prayed, you've thought through it, you've reflected, it's time to start setting goals. And maybe you're sitting here thinking, Rob, I do this every year. I set these goals and I don't reach them, or maybe I reach some of them. I need to figure out how I can actually reach goals. How do I achieve my goals? Well, I'm glad you asked. I think there's 3 practical things, amongst a whole bunch of other things, but 3 practical things that I want to focus on today that we can implement in order to reach our goals. The first thing is measure. It's so important that we are able to not only measure our goal, but measure our progress to the goal. So whatever your goal is for the year, how does that break down each month, each week, each day? As you're walking through your life day to day, you need to understand how you are measuring up to your goal and making progress throughout the year. So what ways can you measure your goal, not only for the entire year, but in smaller segments? The second thing that I think we need to do is count the cost. So many times we make these lofty goals on what we want to achieve and where we want to be in a year's time, but we don't count the cost. So maybe you want to get a 6-pack. Okay, well that means you're probably going to need to work out more and you're probably going to need to eat a little bit less cookies, right? But that's also going to mean that the time you spend working out means you have less time to watch TV or less time to sleep. Are you willing to pay that cost to reach your goal? So many times we get so caught up in just setting a goal, and then whenever it's time to pay up the cost, we're shocked. Like, wait, what do you mean I can't do XYZ anymore? Well, there's only 24 hours in the day, so if you're trying to add something to your schedule, you might have to give something else up. So count the cost of your goals and determine if you're willing to make that payment. And then lastly, number 3, I think it is so important that we reassess multiple times throughout the year, throughout our journey, right? So you start off the year setting this goal, but I think we need to have different checkpoints every week or every month or every quarter, whatever time frame you want to do, to reassess where we are on our progress to that goal and if the goal still makes sense or if we need to make changes, right? So maybe you start off the year to a slow start and you realize that, dang, I need to readjust my monthly goal so I can still reach my yearly goal. Or maybe now you're a little bit behind and it's like, I'm going to keep my monthly goal the same, but that means that my yearly goal is going to change, right? You have to be able to make those assessments throughout your journey to see what's realistic and what's practical. And maybe implement a realistic goal and a stretch goal so you can still challenge yourself. But at the end of the day, we have to be comfortable with reassessing and seeing what makes sense throughout the year because life happens and it's okay to change what the goal is if you are being realistic about it and still pushing towards purpose and the vision God gave you. So in 2022, let's grow together. Let's think about where we are, where we've been, and where we want to go. And as you're creating your goals and thinking about the vision that God has for your life, remember to set goals that you can measure along the way and once you've reached it. Remember that as you're reaching your goals, you have to count the cost. And throughout the journey, reassess to see if the goal still makes sense and if it's still aligned with the vision. Remember, you don't necessarily have to change, but depending on where you are and where you want to go, it might be time for you to grow. And the best way to be intentional about your growth is to set goals based on the vision that God has given you.